You've got big projects to tackle, but your day gets swallowed up by repetitive tasks and constant inquiries. It's hard to make progress when you're stuck putting out fires. That's where Element 451's AI assistants come in. Acting like an extra set of hands, you get your time back for the high-impact projects. Ready to reclaim your time? Visit element451.com/AI team to learn more.
Welcome to In Your Element, the podcast that unlocks practical wisdom in higher education, where leadership meets real talk. I'm Brendan Hinkle, Manager of Solutions Engineering here at Element 451.
And I'm Daniela Norden, Element 451's Director of Customer Success and Engagement. Join us every other Thursday for discussions with everyday heroes using Element 451 in enrollment, marketing, and student success. We'll unlock the practical tips to help you make waves on your campus.
In Your Element is a part of the Enrollify Network, a robust collection of podcasts designed to help higher education professionals like you grow. Explore our other shows at enrollify.org or check out some of my personal favorites linked in the show notes below.
Enrollify is made possible by Element 451, the leading AI-powered all-in-one student engagement platform, helping institutions create meaningful, personalized, and engaging interactions with students. Learn more at element451.com. All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to In Your Element. We have like a double treat for everybody today. You are so lucky you get to have two Danielas in one podcast because we are welcoming Daniela from Paul Quinn, not to be confused with me, Daniela, from Element 451.
Should I even be here in the room with you guys? I should just leave. All right. It's been a nice episode. You can take it from here.
We've renamed it to the Daniela Show. This is the Daniela episode. Like, you all should feel honored that we are including you in this. But I'm also excited because we're talking about one of my favorite features and functionality in Element, which I don't feel like gets enough love ever. And that's applications and decisions. So first of all, welcome, Daniela. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. It's an honor to be here.
I'm super excited because you're one of the newer users of Element 451 and you have made tremendous strides, even though you've only been up and running for a few months. Talk to us about, you made a really big decision to move your entire application process in-house. You were previously using a third-party vendor. What were some of the challenges from using an outside vendor? What were some of the good things that have happened since you've moved that application into Element?
Yeah, so it was a really hard decision at first. When we first were implementing Element, we were actually going to still stick with the third party, but we are a college that has very few resources. And if the product that we are buying can host applications, then why not save that money and just move everything over to Element, where we're able to have complete control of our application and host even more applications. So when we were with this third party, we only had 2 applications. So now that we have transitioned everything over to Element, we actually have 4 applications now that are live to be able to separate our different buckets of students, and are currently working on 2 more applications to add to that.
Tell everybody what those applications are. How did you decide the buckets that you were going to split up?
Yeah, so we have our traditional first-time freshmen, straight out of high school, first time in college. We have our transfer students who are transferring from other institutions to Paul Quinn. We have our international application to host those international students that need, we need to ask more questions. We need more documentation for them. And our final one is our Guild application. So we partner with a company called Guild who works with other companies to provide funding for their employees to go to school. So they partner with Guild. So I think we're the only HBCU to partner with Guild. And they have their application is completely easy and have to submit way less documents than our traditional students and international. So we just decided to host their own application.
One of the recommendations I usually make is making your own international application, because that process is so different, because you're requiring so many different paperwork, documentation. So it's nice to kind of see, hey, you can streamline your application, those application processes, keep everything nice and clean within
Yes.
Element. I love that.
Mhm.
And speaking of new processes within Element, bringing in the new CRM, obviously it gives you more, like you were just saying, the openness to have more applications covered within their different demographics and be covered through that process. But you also have more capability, right? So automation and different things with criteria like core GPA calculations. And so can you give the listener some examples of kind of the new processes that you've already improved through your processing of applications, what some of those are, and kind of some best practices?
Yeah, so we now have in the criteria board, we rate our letters of recommendations, our resumes, and now we calculate our own GPA depending on the core classes. So we no longer go through our overall GPA that the school gives you. We provide you your own one depending on what grades you received in your core classes. So that is a way we are being more intentional about our applicants who we accept into our college. And I just think just if your GPA is not as where it should be, but you have a really strong resume and a really strong letter of recommendation, how that can kind of change your decision board and give you a better score and a better chance of getting accepted, right? So the type of student that applies here at Paul Quinn is usually comes from a low resource area, right? Maybe they are low income. So when we are dealing with those type of students, most of the time school isn't their biggest strength, right? Education is not their biggest strength, which is okay because that shouldn't define you as a person and as an applicant for college, right? So we want more of you as a whole person, right? What is your letter of recommendation going to say? What jobs have you worked with that resume to, help with your application, right? Yes, you probably have to work all throughout high school, maybe at McDonald's, right? But your resume shows, yes, I have a low GPA only because I had to work at McDonald's to provide more income in my household to help pay bills and things like that, right? So we want all of that to reflect your application and give you more chance in getting in rather than just going based off of your GPA.
Yeah. Wow. I just love that because it just resonates so much. And you see this a lot, even outside of higher ed, you see it within like in jobs, right? Where if you don't have a college degree, you can't get a certain type of position. And it's all silly, right? Because there's more to the story than what your grade is, or more to the story about what other degree that you have. Like you said, you could have the most stellar work ethic, the most stellar character, and you just are waiting for your chance. And maybe it's a single parent home, and that kid has grown up and had to be the sole provider of their household, like you said. And man, that's just such a good way to look at it, because I think so many times we miss those moments of giving people their opportunity because we're so closed off to
Their grades.
taking a chance, yeah, on their grades.
And I think a lot of people struggle with how to do this. So, Daniela, the fact that you have been able to automate some of that or use your criteria board to sort of call that out earlier has given folks an idea of like where to start. Everybody strives, I think, to look at that holistic like student, but often don't know how to do that. So, kudos to you all for figuring out how to make that happen and how to get that to work. That's awesome. How many applicants are we talking about, Daniela? Like, how many applicants do you get? Has that changed any?
Yes.
It's tripping me out to hear you call someone else Daniela, by the way. I just have to call this out mid-episode. Like, I'm like, is she talking to herself or no? Okay, sorry. Go ahead. Didn't mean to interrupt.
That is hilarious. So we have I don't have the exact number of how many applications we have as of right now, but I can give you a percentage of how many completed with all documents we have. So last year around our percentage was about 7% of all of our applications had all of their documents. And this time around with Element, about 16.8%
Well,
of all of our applicants are completely are completely full, right? They have all of their documents and are ready for review. So that has doubled with being able to use those workflows and sending automated emails with you're missing this, you're missing that, and not having a system that can do that for us because we didn't have one before has definitely helped us with our documents and receiving documents and being able to give this applicants a system where they can upload their own documents rather than emailing it to us has also helped tremendously. And that's how we're able to have more completed applications than last year.
Well, and it's saving your team from tracking down all of those documents that are required too. So think about the amount of time you've saved. You made it easier for the students to get you everything that you need, and you've made it easier for your staff to process those applications. That's awesome.
Yeah, and a big thing that we've noticed too. So we have student ambassadors here at Paul Quinn, and in our office we have about 6 student workers every year that help us do different tasks. Right, we always assign one student who is solely in charge of document tracking and uploading documents. Even though our applicants are able to upload their own documents, we still have transcripts that we need to upload. Right, that are sent through Parchment, National Student Clearinghouse, maybe email to us. What we've noticed is this year around, we're receiving a lot more of those documents. So it's looking like we're going to have 2 student ambassadors solely work on documents and uploading those documents and making sure all of those documents are actually what they say they are and not, a picture of your dog as your resume type of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. So very interesting. So what are some other, and I'm going a little rogue here on questions just because this brought up, it just sparked my curiosity. Because funny enough, I actually was having a conversation with another school today, and I mentioned the fact that they could do custom upload fields on the application. And I can't tell you how many times that gets a jaw drop reaction because they're like, what? Students can upload documents in the application portal? And I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, we must take this for granted because Daniela, well, our element Daniela is right, because what schools are doing, what you all were doing afterwards is students were finishing their application and document collection was being done through email over and over and over again. And it extends that enrollment process and application review time tremendously.
Yeah,
So
and
it's
that is definitely what we were doing.
right. It's huge. It's a huge value add whenever you're able to eliminate that back end manual process that whenever I think, well, at least me, whenever I think of like, oh yeah, we have upload fields in Element, that's like yeah, we have it. But people hear that and they're like, you have that. And it's like
Yeah.
crazy. So it's nice. It yields good results for them. And
We
it sounds like
definitely
you've been
use
doing it
that
for
feature
you.
to the max.
Yeah.
That is one of our biggest features that we enjoy.
Good. That's
I
awesome.
I do hope that you do accept pictures of dogs, though, because I would admit someone who uploaded a picture of their dog.
I don't know how much it helped their application, but I can create that, right? They can upload it if they want to.
They can go into their recalculated GPA. If dog picture was included, add 1 point.
Yep.
Because they know what they're doing. That is too funny. So with the people that you have working in the student workers roles and what they're doing with document uploading, can you go into a little bit more specifically about how have you really structured those roles that they're doing, and kind of go into a little bit more if you want to, what kind of impact that's had on the admissions process?
Yeah, so we have our 6 student ambassadors that have access to Element, and we use the task module for to the full extent, right? And so when we go to college fairs or go to events, we have students fill out the request for more information form. And once they fill that out, our students are now tasked to give them a call, get them to apply. So pushing them from prospect to applicant stage so we can, get them through and get them to submit their documents and all of that and create that relationship between our student ambassadors and our prospective students. And every day they come in and they know, right, I have to get my laptop, I have to go look at my task and complete my task. Maybe today I have 20 tasks to do, but tomorrow I will only have 3, kind of depending on if we've attended any college fairs. So we have about 3 students that solely do that. So they follow up with students, making sure they apply, and help them apply, right? If you need to get on a phone call and stay there for 10 minutes to help them get through the application, they do that. We have another student who, of course, uploads documents, another student who follows up on our other leads and things like that. But all of that is done in the task module that it kind of helps us keep like reaching out to these students multiple times throughout the year rather than just once, how we used to do it back then, and keeping track of who we spoke to, right? Back then, we from this third party that hosted our application, it would go straight into our SIS. So our SIS, through our SIS, we had to pull reports and say like, oh, this student is still an applicant. Let's give them a call, and we'll have like 1,000 students we have to call, right? So now that we have our CRM, we're able to do those on a rolling basis, right? Today I have 10, tomorrow I have 2, the next day I have 5. And that has been a huge lifesaver for us.
This is such a good point too that I just feel like we're going to take these little snippets that you're saying, Daniela, and share them widely. A lot of conversations I have with partners are about what stays in the CRM and what goes in the SIS. And you take the risk of gumming up your student information system with prospective student data. So being able to control that flow and being able to keep your SIS clean and what it's intended for is actually really huge. It makes everything just like run cleaner. So we need to take that clip and print it out and put it in people's offices because it's an important one that often gets overlooked.
Yeah.
Don't gum up the SIS.
No, yeah. And I'm going to be very transparent here, right? We are building a new CRM right now, and we are currently transitioning into a new SIS, right? So it kind of gives us the ability to see what information we didn't need in this old SIS and what we can transition into a new SIS and what will help us through that transition too, right? So that is currently what we're going through, a lot of changes in our day-to-day lives.
You're going to feel so much better though, because what you're doing is spring cleaning, right? And so you've lived in a dirty house for a while, and now you're doing the work right now, the spring cleaning, and you're seeing like, oh man, look at this. I put all the pots and pans in the dining room. Those should have been in the kitchen. And now moving forward, you're going to have the pots and pans in the kitchen where they're supposed to be. And it's going to be such a better work environment for you, but it's such a better experience for the student as well, because things are on the same page. People know what they're talking about, where things are, and everything's much more aligned. So I always tell people that's going through this, it is difficult to transition multiple systems like that at the same time. But at the end of the day, the team that you have is important. But at the end of the day, it's going to feel real good. Kind of like once your house is all clean, and you sit down, and you're like, all right, now I can binge Netflix in a clean house.
And just, go through my tasks to see what
That's right.
today, since everything is set up.
Exactly. Binging tasks or Netflix, whichever one you want to do.
Both of them work.
Right?
Both of them are the same. Oh, that's too funny. Well, you're going through this time of transition. You're coming up this learning curve, like with Element and with your SIS. You're one of the newer users. Do you have some tips for how to approach learning, training, how you've involved your student workers maybe in using Element? Tell us how if you could do it all over again, maybe that's it. If you could do it all over again, what tips would you share, or what would you do differently?
So let me start off with what I would do differently, honestly, because I think there's a lot that I would do differently. So before Element, we actually didn't have our ACRM. So I was tasked to build something and create something that we've never seen before, right? And to be truly transparent with you, nobody in my team has actually even had admissions previously, right, before coming to Paul Quinn. So none of us have truly seen a CRM before and what it's actually intended to do, right? So when I was first given the task, I didn't actually truly know how big of a task it was and how much it would drastically change everybody's day-to-day work, right? And I probably should have focused more on building the CRM during that time, right? Building Element, but I didn't actually put my face into just Element until later on during the implementation. And we were actually given Lindsay to help us out. And she has been a tremendous help, right? Helping us create processes and things like that we've actually never seen, right? The only way we know how to run admissions is the way we used to run it, right? And Lindsay has been a big help with helping us build a new way of running admissions.
Lindsay is a best practice wizard.
Shout out to Lindsay. She's trained all the good ones. Yep.
Yeah. She is a wizard with best practices in admissions, and like her previous experience prior to being here was at a pretty big school in Florida, and she was a wizard there, and then she brought the wizardry here, and now she's giving everyone else the wizard tips.
And I appreciate that. I appreciate that so much. We definitely needed her. She was godsend to us, truly. But she has helped us tremendously throughout this implementation process. And that would be my biggest advice. Focus on implementing it, create it. Not everything is going to look the same, right? Some things are going to look tremendously different, and that's okay. You just have to have a team that's willing to change the way you do things for it to become better. And that's pretty much it.
Yeah, such an incredibly good point. I love the point. You have to have the team that's willing to change. So big. Oh my gosh, I can't tell you how many times we come across these really good schools and they are so stuck in, well, this is how we've always done it. And that prevents them from what's on the other side, the good that's on the other side. And that's a buy-in is just the best, easiest way to say it. How do you get buy-in? And it sounds like you're blessed with a team that was open to that buy-in to what you had coming for them.
Yeah, completely opened. I had to go ahead and build everything. And then we had multiple sessions, maybe twice a week, actually, just training them on how to do things specifically and how things are going to be moving forward. And having a team that definitely supports you in that. And I even asked them a lot about their advice, right? So I myself, not having any admission experience, it was kind of hard to build a process that I've never seen before. So when I would ask my colleagues a lot, like, hey, what do you think about this? How should we do this? How should we name it? What can we do? What do you think should happen after this? And being open to their suggestions was a really big help as well. So
honestly, I feel like that probably put you at an advantage.
Mm-hmm.
Having a fresh set of eyes, having the willingness and the humility, honestly, to ask for advice like that. We have a lot of folks who bring that sort of bias to the table. So not having that bias and being able to explore, I think, probably puts you at an advantage and is what's helped me make your team more successful, honestly. We deal a lot with people who try to take their current process and then just one-to-one put it into Element, and it doesn't fully optimize everything Element can do. It doesn't work.
Yeah, we're not doing things that other CRMs are doing ever. We're doing it so differently.
Well, luckily for us, we didn't have anything to go based off of. So
I do. I think it puts you at an advantage. I also think it's refreshing for some people who sometimes are overwhelmed. Like, hey, this is you're fresh in your career. You've never had admissions experience, your first CRM, and look what you've been able to do. Like, I mean, people sometimes get lost in the, oh, this is going to be a lot of work, or I don't know what I'm going to, but like, hey, Daniela, Paul Quinn crushed it like within the first 6 months of having Element 451. And that is like refreshing and reassuring to people. And also because you're Daniela, and Danielas are very good.
I was gonna say, did it feel good to say that Daniela crushed it?
Yes.
Like there's like third person type stuff there.
Danielas are very good at their jobs, so it's not a concern for me.
That is true. I've never came across a Daniela that was not. So.
Oh my good.
That is fact checked.
You know what? How about this? I agree. I've never came across a Daniela that was bad at their job either. Great, all of them. You two are the only Danielas I know. So hats off, ladies. Good job. All right. So this is the time of the episode that comes always at the end. And the question that I now issue to you, Daniela, Paul Quinn, Daniela, that is when are you in your element?
I am in my element when I am with my family. So we are a very athletic family. Our biggest sport is soccer. And we have a lot of I have a lot of nieces and nephews right now. So I have about 10, 11 nieces and nephews, and all of them play soccer. So it feels so good to have a big family come to your soccer game.
Yes.
And, cheer you on. Half of the crowd is your family. And being able to provide that childhood for my nieces and nephews that a lot of people lack is when I'm in my element, right? I just look at them and I'm like, I am, I'm giving you a great childhood in what I can give
Absolutely.
you, right?
Danielas do that, they have a way of doing that.
That's awesome. I'm not a soccer player, but I relate to everything else that you said, Daniela. It's true. Family is so important. And I think you're one of the first people who has taken the personal route to this. Work-life balance is also important. And we don't talk about it enough. So I'm glad that you have that outside of your professional life too.
Yeah. And for me, I think that has also helped me implement Element, right? I am an alum of Paul Quinn. So my biggest thing here, and it's something that we live by, is leave places better than you found them, right? So when I leave admissions, no matter what time it is, right? And it's my time, maybe a year, 2 years, 5 years from now, I want to leave it better than I found it. And, implementing the CRM, implementing Element has definitely helped me achieve that goal that I had when I first started working here at Paul Quinn.
So powerful, so true.
So true. And what Daniela left out is, tell everybody when you graduated college. How old were you when you graduated Paul Quinn, my friend?
I was 20 years old. I graduated in the fall of 2021 from Paul Quinn. I could have been 19, but I took an extra semester because I was an athlete. And I wanted another season to play soccer. So I graduated when I was 20 from Paul Quinn, and was hired on right after. So I've been working here for 3 years, and meaning that I'm 23 years old now. So
it's just 20-year-old college graduate could have done it at 19. But I wanted to play soccer. It's huge.
You only graduate high school when you're 18.
No.
Good Lord.
That's awesome.
Wow. That's awesome. So very cool. And, I'm just super excited with Paul Quinn. I was actually I got the privilege to go on campus and to show you guys Element in person.
You did. No wonder you look so familiar.
It was me. And I got to see y'all's beautiful campus and meet your incredible team that you have there. And I said, whenever I left that campus, I said, they are going to do some awesome things with Element and they need it so bad. And I'm so excited to see that you guys have done it. You've picked it up and you've ran with it. So super cool to kind of see, at least not full circle, because there's so much more in your journey, but where you're at now and how far you've come in such a short amount of time. So this has been great. Thank you so much, Daniela. Both Danielas. Thank you, both of you.
Oh, no problem, Brendan.
And allowing me to this conversation of Danielas.
This has been truly a treat. Thank you so much, Daniela. Good luck with everything. We'll see you at Engage too, right?
Yes, I did register, so I'll see you guys next year. I do have one thing that I would like to include in this podcast. I do want to give a shout out to the Lyda Hill Foundation, who actually gave us a grant to fund Paul Quinn with the new CRM and fund Element for us. They gave us a grant to help us with that. But, since we are a small college, we do have limited resources. And plenty of the time, we have to look at things as the glass half full rather than half empty, right? And do what we can with what we have. And with this grant, we were able to fund this, right? And it has helped us tremendously in admissions. And hopefully, within these next few months, we're growing into adding our other departments like financial aid, academic advising, and all of other offices in our campus. But as of right now, we want to gatekeep Element to just
That's right. That's okay. You'll share it soon. But that's awesome. But you can only keep it to yourself for so long because the secret gets out and they're like, well, what are you doing over there? And then everyone wants a piece.
Yeah, and I'm gonna keep the secret as much as I can, right? And then I'll let you guys have it once I'm ready to release it. But as of right now, it's just for admissions. But I'm so excited to see what else we can achieve with Element.
Awesome.
Thanks
so much again.
Thanks, Daniela. In Your Element is part of the Enrollify podcast network. If you like this podcast, chances are you'll like other Enrollify shows too.
Our podcast network is growing by the month, and we've got a plethora of marketing, enrollment, and higher ed technology shows that are jam-packed with stories, ideas, and frameworks, all designed to empower you to be a better higher ed professional.
Our shows help
higher ed marketers and enrollment professionals find their next big idea and feature a selection of the industry's best as your host. Learn from Mallory Wilsey, Artis Kadu, Maya Demishkovich, and so many other of your favorite leaders in higher ed.
Enrollify is made possible by Element 451, the leading AI-powered, all-in-one student engagement platform, helping institutions create meaningful, personalized, and engaging interactions with students. Learn more at element451.com.